Hello, hello, everyone. We're going to be talking about May, the reading wrap up, the wrap up of May, my TBR or my pending pile of books that I would like to read for the month of June. So, if you are looking for some ideas for books to read, if you are just here to hang out with me and see what's going on in my life this month, please grab something to drink. I have my iced coffee in my favorite cup and get cozy, and let's get into the video. Iced coffee, so refreshing in the morning, you guys. So let's talk books, you guys. So from the last video in April, when I was talking about the pending books that I want to read for May, I will say that I took a completely huge mega detour from the pile that I showed you in that video. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. I have found that I am a mood reader. Mood reader is somebody who reads something based off of what they're going through in their life at that moment, the mood that they are in, the impressions they have, the interest that's going on. So being a mood reader, I have pretty much accepted that I could show you guys a pile of books of what I plan on reading, but it almost always will never, it will almost always never go that way. I still have some books to show you guys for my TBR for June, but let's just be real. It probably will change. We'll see what happens. So with that said, let's talk about what I read for May. So the month of May, I read a total of five books. On the 1st of May, I completed the book, The Familiar. And The Familiar took me quite a bit to get through it, I will be honest. I was pretty much drawn to this book because of the cover. It was one of those where the covers just completely interested me. It drew me in, and I went into it blindly. It was not necessarily horror. It was more, in my opinion, a fantasy. Fantasy is hit or miss for me, to be honest. I'm more of a horror kind of a girl. Horror, thriller, slasher books. I like the fantasy genre, maybe more just for like paranormal romance kind of fantasy. But The Familiar was kind of, in my opinion, it was kind of boring. So I know that that's an unpopular opinion because so many people love the author and the author's books. This is the first book I've read by this author. So I'm definitely going to give her more chances. There's another one called The Ninth House that I do also plan on reading, but we shall see. If I don't like it, then it's, some authors are just meant for us and some aren't. So I gave 3 stars, and yeah, it wasn't really my favorite. I will definitely have to say that. So there's that. Then I did start a book on the 7th of May, which is Home is Where the Bodies Are. So I started this book on the 7th of May, and I didn't finish it until the 21st of May. This book took me almost the entire month to get to. I thought I was going to like it. It was listed as a thriller, and like one of those thriller murder mystery types of books. The cover was just absolutely gorgeous. I was totally drawn in again by the cover. I'm telling you, like if it's a beautiful cover, I don't even care what the book is about. Like I just want to read it. So I gave it 4 stars, even though it did take me a long ass time to read. But I mean, if I'm being honest with myself, the month of May was kind of a busy month for me. So there was a lot of like other things going on in the background of my life. So my reading time was kind of pushed off to the side. But I think because it took me such a long time to get through, I couldn't give it the 5 stars. 4 stars was pretty nice too. If I could do the half star rating on Goodreads, I probably would have done a 3.5. This book, it's like I said, it's a murder mystery. It kind of gives you that feel of like nostalgia and like when your family was once really tight and then the family falls apart and splits up, that kind of energy. I feel like it could have been better. So there's that. Then on the 9th of May, this is kind of where my TBR went on a completely different direction. I had the urge to read poetry. And the only reason why this came about was because my husband did the sweetest thing ever, and he ordered me 2 books of poems. So I guess this person like showed up on his on his feed. You know how like sometimes on Instagram stuff will come up random, and he was looking at some of her writing and stuff, and I think because of the subject matter he knew that I would really like it. So my husband ordered me 2 of her books, and I have one right here, and it's called Black Sheep, and the poet's name is Watney Lander. So he ordered the books for me and did it as a surprise. So when it came in the mail, I opened it up and I was just pleasantly surprised, because that's like one of the most romantic things he's done. He's a Taurus. He's not super, super romantic all the time, but he does have the tendencies of being romantic, and so I really appreciate it when he is. And so I started Black Sheep on the 9th of May and I finished it the next day on the 10th. These kinds of books are super quick reads because they are tiny little pieces of poetry, and it was actually the break that I needed from the long, drawn out, boring books like The Familiar. I was pretty burnt out from that book, so this one came at a good time. I gave it 5 stars. I read it in literally 2 days, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I wanted to read you guys the poem that really touched my heart because I thought it was so good. So okay, I'm going to try to read it as calmly and relaxed as I can and not mess up, but just bear with me, you guys. Okay. I couldn't live to believe this is the way it is anymore. I was hungry for life. I needed to feel the thrill of the chase and capture what I knew was always meant for me, regardless of what they kept saying. And I guess that's how you start to feel when you finally leave the herd and start becoming friends with wolves. Black Sheep. When I read that, I was like, that's so touching, because I resonate with the whole Black Sheep. Like the whole meaning of Black Sheep is my life. Ever since I was a teenager, I just knew I was different from the rest of my family, and I stuck out like a sore thumb, and my interests and the things that lit me up inside were considered bad or evil or not right. And so I just knew I was different. Even in my friendship circles too, I have shed so many people in my life throughout all of the years. And I feel like it's just kind of like the curse of the Black Sheep. Like you're trying to find your herd. You're trying to find your community, your group that you belong to. And 9 times out of 10, you really just belong solo, because you could try to mesh with other 2 types of people or groups of people, and maybe it'll be good for a little bit, but you often will outgrow those people. And that has been my life story with my social circles. And that last line, when you finally leave the herd and start becoming friends with wolves, it's kind of like you start to become friends with the very figures or the very people or the very things and interests and lifestyles that are always told to you that are bad and evil and not clean or whatever. And those are your people. So that just hit me to the core. And I wanted to share that with you guys. The other book by the same poet is called This Is How You Lost Me. And I also gave this one a 5-star. I started it on the 11th of May and I finished it on the 12th. So it also was a 2-day ordeal. And that book of poems is more of heartbreaks and breakups and betrayal and just the raw side to love, the dark side, the shadow side to love. But it also has like an ending of, well, I won't say, just in case anyone wants to read it. I love reading poetry about heartache and the rawness of life, that kind of stuff just really speaks to my heart. So that one was really, really good. And I totally recommend it to anyone that is interested in the same stuff, or you love poetry, or you've had your heart broken and you're just looking for a pick-me-up. That's a really good one. After that, I was still on the poetry kick. So I actually went to Barnes and Noble and I walked their poetry section, which I've done that before in the past. I've read poetry lots of times, but this month was just, my soul needed it. So I was browsing and I picked up a couple other poetry books, which I do plan on picking some up for the month of June. I just haven't decided yet which ones. But the one I picked up, the one I read, is called Sincerely. And I started to read this on the 23rd of May. So there's like a big gap because I also was trying to finish Home is Where the Bodies Are. So after I finished Home is Where the Bodies Are, then a couple days later, I picked up Sincerely. Finished it the day after on the 24th. Gave it 4 stars. This one was a little bit, like, I loved the poems and I loved, the experience of reading this person's story, but it was too much for me. It was too lovey-dovey. So Sincerely is a book of poems of love, and it's just about this poet's way of expressing their love for their partner and their, forever love and intentions of spending the rest of their life with this person. Some of the poems were unique and definitely like authentic. You could tell it came from that person's energy and like their style. And then some of them kind of fell short for me. To me, it just felt like they were trying too much, trying too hard, or it just fell flat. It didn't really fit. It didn't feel good. So that's why I gave them a 4-star, but I feel awful like giving a bad rating to a poet because it's that person's own personal style. So, but as far as reading a book of poems that are like all love and it's like positive love, I'm not the person for that. I love love and I love, happy endings and beautiful love and amazing love. I have an amazing relationship, an amazing marriage with my husband. But when I'm reading stuff, I want to read like the raw shadow parts. So I guess it just wasn't my flavor. And then last but not least, I also picked up Dead End Tunnel, and I actually have it right here because I am still reading it, you guys. This is by Nick Roberts. He wrote the book, The Exorcist House. And if you follow me on Instagram, or if you remember from a few months back, I read that book, I think it was in October, and it was one of the horror books that actually gave me the creeps. So I really like his writing style, but this one is just not hitting it right. And I don't know if it's just the storyline that's not grabbing my attention or what. So I'm kind of disappointed. I have about 50 pages left of this book, and I'm going to read it today. I'm going to finish it today. But I started reading it on the 26th of May, and I plan on finishing it today, which is the 31st. It kind of fell flat. Like, there's some creepy parts, but I feel like it's just not hitting the right, like, it's not hitting it right for me. I don't know how else to explain it. And I'm kind of teetering on like 3-star rating with this book because it's interesting, but it's not something I would read again. So I feel bad saying that because I really, really, really loved his book Exorcist House. That one was really good. And there's a couple others that I own that he wrote that I plan on reading later in the year. But yeah, this one just isn't doing it for me. So it's probably going to be a 3-star read. So let's talk June reads. I wanted to show off my little pumpkin bag, but I thought this was such a cute little bag for Summerween. Summerween or Halloween hunting and all of that fun stuff. So I have my books in here. The books that I chose to read this month or pending, I'm trying to bring in more like summer horror, I guess is what I'm trying to say. A couple of them I am kind of on the fence with because there's some that I really, really want, but I have to order them. I don't have them. There's some that are not going to be available till like August. So there's a slasher book that I really want to read, and it's not coming out till August. There's another slasher book that's coming out, but it's not coming out till July. So June is kind of like floating in that midst of like, I'm trying to find summer reads, summer horror, but I don't know. This is what I put together last night. When I do a TBR, it's going to change, but I'm still showing you books, so maybe it'll give you some ideas of what you would want to read. So when I think of summer horror, I think of slasher books, campfire, like haunted campfires, haunted houses, summertime, and like Halloween in the summer. Does that make sense? Like a spooky summer, and also deep sea horror, which I'm looking for something really, really good to read for deep sea horror because, I just think that's the ultimate. I'm actually thinking of putting the order out for a used copy of Jaws 2 because I did read Jaws was it last year or the year before? So I thought, Jaws 2 might be a good one to read for the summer. So it's in my shopping cart on Thrift Books, so I'll probably end up just ordering it and seeing, but we'll see. A definite that I'm really, really excited for is called This Delicious Death. It is a girl eat girl world. So it definitely has a summer feel to it. This summer is going to get gory. 2 years ago, a small percentage of the population underwent a transformation known as the Hollowing. Those affected were only able to survive by consuming human flesh. The people who went without quickly became feral, turning on their friends and family. Luckily, scientists were able to create a synthetic version of human meat that would satisfy their hunger. As a result, humanity slowly began to return to normal. Cut to Zoe, Celeste, Valeria, and Jasmine, 4 hollow girls living in Southern California. As a last hurrah before graduation, they attend a musical festival in the heart of the desert. They have a cooler filled with seltzer, vodka, and sin flesh, and they are ready to party. This one just screams summer, and I love the idea of it's kind of like gives like zombie vibes, and yeah. That one sounds like a lot of fun, so I'm really excited to read that one. The book club for Barnes & Noble, their horror pick is Monstrilio, and I don't know how I feel about this one. I did pick it up because I would like to give it a shot, but it's a big one. So I don't know. It's really creepy. Like the cover is creepy. You have like that creepy looking vampire. But I don't know if this one's going to grab my attention right away. So I have the intention of trying it out for the sake of the book club, but we shall see. The Silver Scream. So this is one of those slasher books that I'm talking about. And it's short. As you can see, it's a smaller book. Fresh from the cutting room floor, The Silver Scream exposes the bloodiest behind-the-scenes details of the most gruesome, shocking, true crime tragedy of our time. Part autopsy, part grisly director's cut, this is the only book with the comprehensive exploration inside the mind of America's notorious celluloid-obsessed rock star turned cinema copycat murderer. So it kind of goes into the person, the serial killer, behind the scenes, and it's like supposed to be written like it's, all of the juicy info. We shall see how this one goes. It's a short one, so that's why I added it to the pile. This one has a creepy cover. So this is called Diavola. Look at that cover. Creepy. When I'm looking for summer books or campfire books, this one pops up. Anna has only 2 rules for the Pace family: destination vacations, tread lightly, and survive. It isn't easy when she's the only one in the family who doesn't quite seem to fit in. Her twin brother, Benny, goes with the flow so much he's practically dissolved, and her older sister, Nicole, is so used to everyone, including her blandly docile husband and 2 kids, falling in line that Anna often ends up in trouble for simply asking a question. Mom seizes every opportunity to question her life choices, and Dad, when not reminding everyone who paid for this vacation, just wants some peace and quiet. So kind of sounds like she's like the black sheep in the family, kind of like that she's the one that always gets in trouble when no one else, nobody else does. And it's a family vacation. So I could see why it's listed in the pile for summer books. So we shall see. I hear good things about it. There's a lot of people that say it's really, really good. But the creepy cover just drew me in. So I love that. Also, for some deep sea horror, this one kind of came up on the list. Not really sure how it's going to read. I feel like it's going to be more of like a literary kind of maybe like literary horror, if that's, if that makes sense. It's called Our Wives Under the Sea. Leia is changed. A marine biologist, she left for a routine expedition months earlier. Only this time her submarine sank to the seafloor. When she finally surfaces, she returns home. Her wife, Miri, knows that something is wrong. Barely eating and lost in her thoughts, Leia rotates between rooms in their apartment, running the taps morning and night. Whatever happened in that vessel, whatever it was they were supposed to be studying before they were stranded, Leia has carried part of it with her onto dry land and into their home. That sounds really, really good. And I think that this will be the deep sea horror book that I'm looking for. I have ideas for a couple more, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how this one goes. So we shall see. And then I also picked up The Perfect Storm. So I found this one at the Goodwill during one of my little Halloween hunts. And The Perfect Storm was a movie that I really loved back in the day. It talks about the fishermen, like when they go out to sea and they get lost. Well, I don't know if it was lost, but there's like a huge storm and they were fighting for their lives. I'm just looking for that nautical, deep sea horror, ocean setting kind of thing. So I felt like The Perfect Storm might be kind of cool, even though it's not necessarily horror. It's still pretty scary when you think about being out in the middle of the ocean and almost, your ship, your boat almost being lost and you can't be found. That is scary to me. So I think that might be cool to check into, but I don't know. I'm not really sure yet. I'm not sold 100% if I'm going to read this one. And that's all on my list, you guys. That is my TBR for the month of June. But like I said, some of the books that I really want to read are not even out yet. So like July, August, there's going to be a couple coming out that I want to check out. So hopefully these will be good. Maybe I will find something, who knows? Like literally that's how it goes, is I'll be out at Barnes & Noble or I'll be scrolling through YouTube and looking at videos and somebody will recommend a book. I'm in a couple Facebook groups for books. So there's always, different ways that these books come up and the TBR will always change. So it is not set in stone, but that is all I have to show for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed and I hope you guys are reading and finding books that are speaking to your souls. And yeah, I can't wait to show you guys what I thought of the June reads. And yeah, we will touch base in another video very, very soon. And until then, take care, you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.